Welcome to Out Motorsports channel for cars as you are. My name is Jake and this is the 2023 Kia Sportage. I first drove the Kia Sportage in May of 2022 when these first came out, and Kia got us driving both the hybrid model, which this one is, and the 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. Now, I liked the car in general, but I vastly preferred the hybrid for its power and its general premise. So Kia sent one over for a week to see if I still felt that way after putting some more miles on it. So let's talk about what the 2023 Kia Sportage is, what the hybrid model is in particular, and then of course get it on the road and talk about how it is to drive. All right, so what is the 2023 Kia Sportage? Well, this is one of the more important vehicles for the brand's lineup. This is that compact crossover segment which competes with things like the Honda CR-V and Toyota RAV4. So that's to say it is a kind of larger two-row crossover as these go. This one is upsized, of course, as everything seems to be when it gets to the next generation, and it does offer a lot of passenger room. When you look inside, Kia says this has the most passenger space and interior space of the segment. They added leg room for 2023. They added a lot to the car, and it is a redesigned model. So between the back seat and then popping the trunk, you have plenty of room going on in here. There is indeed quite a bit of cargo space. And of course, if you're looking for something bigger than this going on, Kia will be happy to sell you a Sorento, which does indeed have a third row. Now, moving back outside, take a look at the styling here. Of course, I tend to not comment on styling, but Kia is doing a whole lot with all of their new models, and I think the styling on this one works nicely on the rear. I don't love it from the front, but a lot of people do like it quite a bit. This is a matte finish gray paint, which I find very interesting. My parents were in town. My dad in particular loved this. Hi, Dad. Hi, Mom. But it's a very interesting look. I think the front is just a little, I don't know, challenging to me, but it's interesting, it's modern, it's different. Now, as far as what's going on up front here under the hood, let's pop the hood and talk about that. All right, so as far as what's going on under the hood, this is the regular non-plug-in hybrid setup. So this is a 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. Yes, there is a turbo going on here. And then you've got the regular hybrid setup on top of that, which is to say an electric motor, all of your electric components, and a small battery. Now, the interesting thing going on here that you don't get with some other hybrids is that you have a regular automatic transmission, not a CVT. That is correct. No CVTs here. If you don't like them, you won't find one. This setup has a 6-speed automatic. Now, Kia claims this is good for 38 miles per gallon, both in the city and on the highway. That is if you have the all-wheel drive, which this car does have. You can get the Sportage as front-wheel drive, and then you can get into the 40s for fuel economy, so they say. Now, let's get inside the Sportage, because beyond the hybrid drivetrain, everything going on in here is also pretty nice. All right, so opening the door of the Kia Sportage, this is the 2023 Sportage SX Prestige, which is to say the fully loaded model. It has these excellent seats. These are called Carmine Red. They're kind of a brick red. Now, one thing that I love that Kia is doing with the Sportage and all their other vehicles is they're offering a lot of cool interior and exterior color combos. So this matte gray is an extra cost option. It's not for me, but I can see where a lot of people would like this. Inside though, these red seats I absolutely adore. And you can also get a neat kind of navy and cream two-tone. You can kind of a green-gray, really interesting options going on here. So I appreciate what you can do, and they're not limited to just the top trim level. If you get a lower trim that's not an SX Prestige, you can still get interesting colors. Kudos to Kia there. So hopping inside, let's see what we've got here. Close the door because it's windy and cold out, but I'm gonna go ahead and start this thing up. And one of the biggest things going on is you've got dual displays here. So you've got a 12-inch display here and a 12-inch display here. A lot of people are doing this whole dual display thing, and Kia does a nice job. If you look kind of up top, you can see this is like a curved setup. It's not a curved screen because there's two screens, but either way, you've got a nice looking steering wheel, controls for your audio here, and controls for your cruise control and highway driving assist here. Kia offers a lot of different driver assistance tech. This button right here is for your highway driving assist, which is one of the best in the business. I still think they do a very, very nice job. So that is great if you want some level 2 driver assistance tech going on. Looking below this big screen, you've got this climate control and audio control kind of dual panel. But the big thing is that you can change it between climate control and audio control by tapping this little button here. Moving further down, this guy being the SX Prestige does have wireless phone charging right here. It does not have wireless CarPlay, hence the iPhone cord, but it does have CarPlay and Android Auto. So you've got your USB ports, you've got USB-A and USB-C right here, and then a little power outlet for radar detector or something like that. Moving further back, you do have your engine start button, your transmission selector, which is a big rotary dial, controls for your heated seats and heated steering wheel right here, and then controls for your kind of drive modes and center diff lock for your all-wheel drive and a couple of, off-road things and parking things, parking sensors, parking camera. Other nice thing, if you hit the parking button here, you've got the parking assist system and camera view. So it will show you a nice 360-degree view of the car, or you can push and hold and it will activate the parking assistance system where the car will help park itself. So that is that. Moving further back, just kind of a nice dash layout, very simple, very clean, easy to use everything. Love all the buttons that are going on here and the real hard controls. I think that's really nice. Kind of an interesting design with the air vents. It's nice because it is designed and it's thought through. And then this car does have Harman Kardon audio. That is part of that SX Prestige package. Looking further back, you do have, like I said, that big back seat, which is really nice, and then that big cargo area, and then looking up, you have a big panoramic sunroof. So with all that, let's get behind the wheel and talk about how this 2023 Kia Sportage Hybrid is to drive. All right, so let's talk about driving the 2023 Kia Sportage Hybrid. So I mentioned I had driven these when they first came out in early 2022. I drove both the hybrid and the naturally aspirated gas model, which is just a 2.5 liter four-cylinder that's entirely fine, but it's not the preferable drivetrain for this. The hybrid, even when I drove them briefly back to back, I said the hybrid is the one to have. In city driving, first of all, since we're in the city right now, the hybrid is absolutely the one to have because it pairs so well to city environments where you can kind of cruise along at low speeds and the electric motor will do all the work, or you need a little more acceleration and it will kick in. But the electric motor is good. Even in my parking garage, when I go in and there's a big hill, it will drag you up, no big deal. So that is really nice. And away from a stoplight, when the gas motor kicks in, it's a really smooth transition. There's no real rough vibrations or grumbling or anything. It's a very nicely done hybrid setup that pairs really well. Other thing for city driving, I'm hitting a bunch of potholes and little just imperfections in the road, and the suspension for city use is very well set up. It's compliant, it soaks up the bumps, and I think you also have a nice thick sidewall on the tire that also helps quite a bit there. As we get onto the highway and turn in here, steering feel is lacking. It's pretty soft, pretty light. It's precise enough, but it's not anything exciting. This is not really a driver's car, This is just meant to be an efficient crossover. But the steering feel is fine. It's just kind of light. Getting up to highway speed, no big deal. I like having the regular 6-speed automatic versus a CVT. I know, Toyota hybrids have historically had that eCVT, which is tremendously durable, but you do get the same CVT setup and sort of feeling as you get from something, like a Subaru that I was just driving that has a CVT, in that you get that kind of drone going on. The Kia system uses a 6-speed automatic, which just feels very conventional and traditional at this point, which you're going to feel much more at home if you're used to just another automatic transmission vehicle. So that is nice. No issues getting up to speed. Of course, the hybrid, the turbocharger, and then the regular gas engine all work together to make this feel plenty punchy. And the nice thing is, between the turbo and the electric motor assist, the gas motor doesn't feel like it's working very hard a lot of the time unless you really put your foot down. If you do, is it, a little loud and a little whatever? Sure, I'll go ahead and do that here. But even then, it's pretty subdued. The noise insulation is pretty good, and it's not the loudest thing, which I really like. The insulation and the composure of the Sportage Hybrid, I think, is really well done, for what this is. And here we go into some traffic, so we're back in EV mode. Now, the gas motor is, like I said, pretty well insulated from you as a driver and the rest of the car. The only time you really notice that the gas motor has kicked off is because you get this little EV icon that comes on in the gauge cluster, which is lovely, except I can't see it because the steering wheel rim blocks it. It's exactly where the steering wheel rim is right here in my line of sight, and I have to kind of bob and weave to see it. So that's just kind of a strange thing, and I bring that up because as a driving enthusiast, this might seem kind of strange, but I really love driving hybrids because I love the challenge of how often can I run it on just the battery. That is a really fun thing to try and figure out. So if you're really paying attention, you can tell because you'll notice the vibration of the floor goes away, and you'll notice the sound changes because you're not dealing with that gas motor. But if you've got music on, or you're not paying full attention to your drivetrain all the time, like most people don't do that, the good news is this is all very unobtrusive. But yeah, I wish you could see that light. Now gauge-wise, this is one of several options for a cluster setup. They're all sort of similar, but I've got this little gauge that shows charging versus eco versus power, which is just related to how much I've got my right foot down on the throttle or not. And then it shows the battery's state of charge, which fluctuates quite a bit because the battery's not very big. But when you brake, when you lift off the throttle, it will regen and get some energy back in there. So as far as how this thing operates as a hybrid, it's pretty impressive. As far as fuel economy is concerned, this is rated on the window sticker at 38 miles a gallon city and 38 miles a gallon highway. So far, I have not met that. I've been doing more like high 20s versus high 30s. That being said, it's been cold out. I've been doing a lot of true city driving, which is to say very short trips, nothing gets warmed up, and really, really heavy stop and go. So now we're out on the interstate, or we're getting there if this traffic clears up, and I'm sure the average will go up a little bit. I expect we'll get to probably the mid 30s, but either way, this is a very nice hybrid for the sake of just seamless operation, thoughtless operation. It's very well executed. As far as the rest of the car is concerned, oof, that Jetta got rearranged. As far as the rest of the car is concerned, couple hits, couple misses. The hits for me, low dashboard. Really good visibility, really, really like it. The dash is nice and low. The gauge cluster and the infotainment screen are also nice and low, despite having the two 12-inch or whatever screens here. Really just out of your way, unobtrusive. And that good visibility extends to the side windows with these little wing windows in front of the regular window that goes up and down. It feels nice and airy in here. And then having the big panoramic sunroof helps quite a bit as well. So love that. Couple misses also in the cabin for me. I don't think this car is great for tall people. I'm 6'1". This seat is as low as it will go, and it is, my head, you can see, is still like almost in the roof, and I feel like I've got the seat back reclined a decent amount. So do I like that? No. I wish this could go down another inch or two. I would really feel more comfortable if it would just be a little more well set up for tall people. Now this may be different for you, even if you're also a tall, because all of us are different for, of course, torso versus legs. Other thing I don't like, I think it's very clever, and I don't like it. This little strip of buttons right here, it's a touch sensitive strip. You've got one knob and button here, and one knob and button over here. This can be used for your radio or your climate control. So right now I am in radio mode, and I've got these buttons that control my infotainment, and then this knob will control my volume, which you can see on the screen at the bottom there. If I tap this little button here, then suddenly these two knobs control my climate control, which is lovely, except it's really easy to bump this guy. And I tried turning down the volume and then was wondering why the fan speed cranked up really high, and it's because I turned the temperature down to low. So this is very, very clever. In execution, I think it doesn't work. I think these need to be actual hard buttons and not a touch-sensitive strip. That would go a long way, because I didn't realize that I just bumped this and it changes the functions of all these buttons. So not a huge fan of that, but I think it's very clever, and it's like so close to being what it should be, because it's neat. All right, and that is it for this review of the 2023 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Thank you so much for coming along. As always, please like, share, comment, subscribe right here on YouTube. Give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Out Motorsports. And if you'd like to connect with a community of fellow LGBT automotive enthusiasts and motorsports competitors, head over to outmotorsports.com. We would love to get to know you over there. We've got some events coming up both in person and online all throughout 2023. So head on over there, get to know us that way. Till next time, please stay safe, be well, see you again soon.